She's being called the newest singing sensation out of Austin, Texas. But her songs are getting her played across the country and around the world. Who is she? Her name is Emily Grace Berry, and you'll be hearing that name more and more. She's here today to perform on Prime. Hello everyone, I'm Bill Pemberton, and welcome back to Prime. Well, today we have a special treat for you. You're going to be hearing from an exciting new Texas talent that suddenly has everyone talking and listening. She's singer and songwriter Emily Grace Berry. So let's kick it off with a song. Here to sing different drum is Emily Grace Berry.
Travel to the beat of a different drum. Oh, can't you tell by the way I run? Every time you make eyes on me, whoa, you cry and moan and say it'll work out. But honey child, I have my doubts. You can't see the forest for the trees. Not that I knock it, it's just that I am not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me. Yes, and I ain't saying you ain't pretty. All I'm saying is I'm not ready for any person, place, or thing to try and pull the reins in on me. Crying and grieving, we'll both live a lot longer if you live without me. Oh, don't get me wrong, it's not that I knock it, it's just that I am not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me. Yes, and I ain't saying you ain't pretty. All I'm saying is I'm not ready for any person, place, or thing to try and pull the reins in on me. So goodbye, I'll be leaving. I see no sense in this crying and grieving. We'll both live a lot longer if you live without me. If you live without me.
Welcome, Emily. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was outstanding.
Thanks.
Now, I understand that was a song by Michael Nesmith, but you also write your own songs, is that right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. And you've just released a CD?
Yeah, it just came out in April. It has 2 original songs that my mentor slash manager guy, Freddie, wrote together. And then it has 4 cover songs. Good.
So that went out in April. Mm-hmm. And already I think you told me that it's being carried on Amazon, CD Universal, lots of places. Where else could people
you can buy it online on Best Buy, Target. There's a lot of online places where you can find it.
Good deal. It was beautiful. And let's see, you're going to be singing one of the songs that's off of that later on today, right?
Yeah, it's a song that I wrote called When We Meet Again.
Good. Well, it sounds like you've come a long way. How long have you been songwriting and singing?
Full time, only about a year.
About a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not very long. You were telling me a little bit about how you got the inspiration to become a singer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You were at school. You had this aha moment. What was that?
Well, I mean, I've always kind of known that I was going to do something with music. I just never really knew what it was that I was going to do.
Right.
And I was at school and I just didn't have time for music anymore, and I was unhappy and I wanted to go back to music. So I called my parents and went, and they said, well, why don't you come home and we'll talk about it. So we talked about it, and they made a phone call, and they said, well, why don't you just finish this semester, and we'll see what we can do.
That sounds like parents. Finish school, come home, and we'll talk about it. So you guys came home, they saw the passion, they felt the passion, and they said, do what you feel like you need to do, follow your passion. That's pretty special in a parent. That's outstanding. So I think you said your dad picked up the phone, they called this fella who is a teacher of young people in music, and Freddie? Tell me about Freddie.
Freddie Kirch. He is a well-rounded musician. He is a drummer, guitarist, singer-songwriter. He's been playing in a band since he was like 10 years old. But he's played with B.W. Stevenson, Jerry Jeff Walker. He had his own band, The Explosives, in the 80s, and a lot of success there.
So Freddie's been around. So you got the benefit of a guy who's been down as a career musician. You perform with him sometimes, co-write with him sometimes. So I think that's ideal. If you've got the passion and you've got the talent, now you need a mentor. So you've got that. Now Freddie's got a label called Steady Boy
Records.
And you're on that label. It's an independent label, correct? Well, very good. And that's what you put out your EP, I think you called it? Yeah,
EP. Good. It's an extended play. It's a record that has less than 8 songs.
Good. Yeah. So at this point, what you've done is you've really become a performer, and you've got a EP out, so now you can actually vote in the Grammys this year. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I think you told me you're 20 years old.
Yeah.
I think there's a very good chance you are the youngest singer-songwriter that's going to be voting in the Grammys. Could be wrong about that. But that's good. Well, let's see, I've got a lot to go through with you today. Where all have you performed lately, or in the last year?
Well, playing a lot around Austin. I played at Threadgill's, The Broken Spoke, Pootie's, when Pootie was Willie Nelson's road manager for many years. And then went to Houston, played in Houston, played at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe in Galveston, which is Towns Van Zant's. That was his kind of hangout place when he was in the area. Went up to Lubbock in April, played at the Wildflower Festival in Richardson in May.
Well, let's jump in a little bit on who influenced you, because you've had a very extraordinary influence in your life. And I want to talk about him, and that's Jerry Jeff Walker. And I think we've got some photos here of Jerry Jeff Walker, sort of briefly, because we've got another song here at the end coming up. But tell us kind of quickly, how did you meet Jerry Jeff Walker? How old were you, and how did that develop?
Well, I was 8 years old, and my parents had a party out at our ranch and hired Jerry Jeff Walker to come perform.
Right.
And Freddie was actually his drummer. In that picture, you can kind of see him in the background. But anyway, I knew all the words to all the Jerry Jeff songs, and he saw that I knew his songs, and he stopped in the middle of Redneck Mother and pulled me up there and told me to sing with them.
And just to fast forward, because I got a couple of things to talk about with you here, but he saw you up there, and he said, he called you up, you sang, you were young, you didn't want to, you hummed through some of the rough songs, some of the rough words. We know Jerry Jeff doesn't publish, Christian hymnals. So the bottom line is, and then you did a little writing of your own, and he actually used some of the words that you put in there to soften it up a little bit. I thought that was making quite an impact. Well, let's talk about some of your early influences. I think you told me that you're into something called country rock. And what is country rock? Well,
country rock was big in like the early 70s, and you don't really hear that much anymore.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring that back, and so that's the kind of music that
was like Emmylou Harris was one of your...
Yeah, Linda Ronstadt, Emmylou Harris.
Of Emmylou Harris, and so a revival going on there, and then moving right into it, you had a lot of success. You've been on the radio, you've done a lot of gigs. And you've got a following in Germany, I understand now, and you just came out in Shindig magazine.
Yeah, Shindig magazine. It's a magazine in the UK. It's distributed worldwide, and I just got my first review, and it was a really good review.
Fantastic. Well, they'll be able to watch this over there. Well, we've got one more song coming up here. It's been way too short. I'd like to have you back on the show sometime.
Yeah.
So you're going to sing for us. Exactly, called When We Meet Again, and you wrote this one.
Yes,
well, I'm going to get out of the way and let you entertain us.
As the 21st floor. I hear your voice, but only through your song. I dream we'll meet again, that it won't be long. When we meet again, will you take my hand and walk with me to the place where it all began? When we meet again, with my kisses I will thrill and make you dream about me, me and me alone, until when we meet again. Where are you tonight? Up in Dallas town, or maybe down in Houston where the rain comes down, pouring out your soul while you're strumming your guitar. Do you think of me while I wonder how you are? When we meet again, will you take my hand and walk with me to the place where it all began? When we meet again, with my kisses I will thrill and make you dream about me, me and me alone, until when we meet again. As the storm clouds clear, the sky is turning blue like the color of your eyes. My thoughts turn to you with your pockets full of nothing and head full of dreams. Though I thought your heart was true, maybe it's not as it seems. When we meet again, will you take my hand and walk with me to the place where it all began? When we meet again, with my kisses I will thrill and make you dream about me, me and me alone, until when we meet again.
If you'd like to know more about Emily Grace Berry and her music, you can visit her on Facebook at Emily Grace Berry and on her website at www.emilygraceberry.com. And keep up with us with Prime Online at onprimetv.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm Bill Pemberton. Thanks for watching. See you next time.